Hey guys, this is Christina from craftmuse, and today our tutorial is going to be for Princess Anna, inspired by Disney's Tsum Tsum. So we've already made our Elsa and we've made our Olaf. So today we need to add Anna to the collection. So here she is. This is what I came up with. Now when we get to the hair part where we add the braids, you can either choose to have them going out like this. I decided to put them like that because on the plush Tsum Tsum they're going out. But then if you see the game or if you play the game, her braids are going down. So either way, any way you'd like to place them is going to be up to you. But I kind of thought she looked cute with them out like that. So that's why they're kind of like Pippi Longstocking-ish, because I was basing it off of the plush. So the colors that I used for this one and what you'll need for today is I used the caramel for the hair, the caramel from Rainbow Loom. However, I ran out of these, so I'm going to be using the brown from the Camel Pack, which is, it's a lighter brown, so hopefully it will work out okay, but we'll see. So that's what color I'll be using for the hair, and then you'll need a skin tone for her face. And then in her hair, I also added like just like a little bit of mother of pearl here, or you could add like a white or a blonde, like a light yellow, just to give her that little stripe in her hair that she has in the movie. And then you'll need some kind of color for her, I don't know, I guess her shirt, which I use the fuchsia. I use the Rainbow Loom fuchsia here. And then you'll need some white for her bloomers, some black, and then here I used the Sweets navy blue color. This came out of the Paradise Blue Sweets mix. Couldn't think of it. So you'll need some blue for her skirt, and her skirt is actually added on after we complete her. So let's see, anything else? Pony beads or safety eyes or wrap bands. Today I'm going to be using just regular black for the eyes. And then if you want to add the little cheeks, you can. That is optional. So you'll need 2 pink wrap bands on a skin tone band if you decide to do that. So that's about it for that, for the colors. And then we'll also need some polyfill to stuff her up with. And you'll need your crochet hook or rainbow loom hook. And then you'll need either a C-clip or a stitch marker to keep your spots. So let me get my C-clip. Sorry, I'm not very prepared here today. Okay, so let's get started on Anna, and what we will be starting off with are the hands and the feet. So for the hands we need to make 2 in skin tone, and for the feet we need to make 2 in black. So as usual, these are just a magic ring with 6 stitches in it. And then each of the magic rings will be placed 2 on the skin tone bands and 2 on the black. So I'll make 1 with you, and then you guys can pause the video and make the remaining 3. So I'm going to make a hand with you guys. So I'll take my skin tone band and wrap it around my hook 2 times so I create 3 loops. And then I'll grab another band, bring this capping band onto this band here, slide it towards the center, and then I'm going to push this band down and then put the other end onto my hook. Now I'm going to take this band and slide it through this one, so I'm kind of just like creating a slip knot, but I'm not going to pull it tight. I'm just going to leave it nice and loose. Now I'm going to go through the capping band. Make sure you're going through all 3 loops in the capping band. Grab another band, place it on your hook, bring it through the capping band only, and leave this band down here alone. So just bring it through the capping band, then bring the other end up onto your hook so that you have 3 loops on there. Now you're going to slide this first band here under these 2. So just like, again, you're creating a slip knot, but a loose one. Okay? Now again, go back through your capping band, grab another band, bring it through the cap band only, bring it up onto your hook, and slide under. So that was 3 stitches that we've put in so far. So we need to do 3 more. So this will be 4. will be 5. And then go in one more time. And this will be 6. So just to make sure that you have your 6 stitches in there, you'll have these little V shapes on the sides. So go ahead and count those. You start with this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the one on my band is also a stitch, so that's number 6. So now what you do is go through your first V shape here, which is your first stitch, grab another skin tone band and bring it through all the loops on your hook. Hold on a second, let me make sure I put these on skin tone. No, I think I put these on, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I forgot that we're placing these in the shirt area. So grab 2 fuchsia bands and then put 1 fuchsia through your arm. Then reclaim the other end back onto your hook and then slide this under. We're going to just create a slip knot. Make it a little bit loose so that it's very easy to untie when we get to the point where we're adding these on. So 2 skin tone hands, each on a fuchsia band, and then let me make sure the black one is going to be white. Okay, so then when you make your 2 black feet, you're going to be putting those on white bands. So go ahead and pause the video and make the rest of your hands and your feet, and I'll meet you back here when you're finished. Alright, so now you should have your 2 hands and your 2 feet. So I have my hands here, the skin tone on the fuchsia, and then I have my 2 feet, the black on the white. So now let's go ahead and start with the braids, and we need to make 2 of them. These are going to be added to the hair later on, but I figured we just might as well get these out of the way while we're making the extra pieces. So for her braids, you're going to need her hair color, and then if you're going to be adding the stripe at her hair, you're going to need that color as well. So let's start. So for row 1, we are just doing a magic ring with 6 stitches, exactly like we did with the the arms and the feet. So I'm going to take my hair color band and wrap it around my hook 2 times, creating 3 loops. And I'm just going to go through this a little bit faster because you guys have already made 3 magic rings, or 4. So there's 1. 2. Now for my 3rd one, if you're adding your stripe, go ahead and add the extra color wherever you want, but I'm just going to add it into the 3rd stitch, and I'm not even going to do a color change. It's hair, so it's fine. So that was 3, and now I'm just going to go back to my regular hair color. 4. 5, and 1 more. And 6. So you have your magic ring, and you should have your 6 stitches in there. So now what we want to do is, instead of working in the round the correct way, we're just going to turn this like this. So your V's are facing towards the right. So your little loops are going towards the right, and you're going to work in the stitches around the opposite way. So you want to make sure you put 6 in there. So I'll go into this first one here. I'm going to use brown, and we're just going to do 6 single crochets. So a single crochet is where you bring your band through the stitch only, and then bring it back up, and then slide this band under these 2. So that was 1. Now I'm going to go into my 2nd stitch here. I'm going to use another brown, do a single crochet. It's 2. Now I'll be going in through this stripe color band, the mother of pearl that I'm using, and I'm going to use another mother of pearl. Just 3. Now I'm going to go into this next stitch here, 4, and then I have a stitch here, which is 5, and then even though this technically isn't a stitch down here, I'm just going to go through there and pretend it is and do a single crochet. It's really small. It's a tight squeeze. It's not technically a stitch, but I'm going through it to add, since we have to go through 6 stitches. So there's 6. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you have this kind of weird looking thing. Okay, so now I'm going to go back the other way. So now we're just going to work this way. So just go the opposite way. So now what we're doing is a decrease, followed by a single crochet, followed by a decrease, so that we end up with 3 stitches. So I will go pick up the first front loop of my first stitch. So here's this loop here. And then I'll grab this front loop only of my second stitch so that I have the 2 loops on my hook, and then I have this loop back here. I'm going to grab another brown band, and I'm going to bring it through the first 2 loops only, and then bring the other end onto my hook so that I have 3, and then slide under these 2. So that was a decrease. Basically we just stitched up the 2 stitches. Now I will go through my mother of pearl band, and I'm going to add a mother of pearl there, and this is just a single crochet. And these 2 stitches here will be a decrease. So go through the front loop only there, and the front loop only there. Bring your band through the 2 loops only, reclaim, and slide under. So now you have this. Turn your piece, so now we're going to work the opposite way. Now we're just going to do 3 single crochets. So here's a mother of pearl band. I'm going to use that and go through there. So there's 1. I'll go through my next band and use brown. There's 2. And then I'm going to go through this tiny stitch here, and that will be my 3rd. And 3. Now we're going to turn it. So we should have 3 stitches here. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do a decrease, followed by a single crochet, and then we should end up with 2 stitches. So I'm going to pick up the first stitch here, the front loop only, and then the first stitch here, the front loop only. I'm going to use my mother of pearl band, bring it through the front loop, the loop, 2 loops only, bring up onto your hook, do your crochet, and then my last stitch here will be a single. I'm going to turn it again. And now I'm just going to single crochet in these 2 stitches here. So I'm in my mother of pearl band, and I'm going to go through that with a single crochet, and then I'll go through this stitch here and do a single crochet with brown. Now we'll turn it, and we're going to decrease. So we have 2 stitches left. Now we're going to decrease this one here and this one. You can use either mother of pearl or brown, whatever color you want. I'm going to use mother of pearl. Go, turn it again, so you have 1 stitch left. Doesn't want to focus. Okay, so I've got 1 stitch there. So we want to single crochet in that one stitch, and I'm just going to use brown. I'm going to turn, single crochet in this one stitch here. I'm going to turn one more time, go into that one stitch, grab a brown, bring it through all the loops on my hook, and fasten off. So I just tied a slip knot. Okay, so there's one braid. And then if you want, like I wrapped this around the ends here, and then I also wrapped another band here so it kind of separated it to make it look more, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, you guys can add some more bands to it. Just wrap it around if you want to make it look more like a braid. So I'm just going to take this tying off band here and wrap it around the bottom part of the braid. And I'm going to make the other braid with you just because this might be a little confusing. So there's one. Now let's make the second one. For your second one, you don't need to add a stripe, so it'll just be all in brown or caramel, whatever color you guys are using. So we'll start off with our magic ring with 6 stitches in it. So I'll wrap this around my hook twice, and then I'll put my 6 stitches in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So instead of closing this circle up and going all the way around, I'm just going to turn this like this and work the opposite way. So now I'm just going to put in some single crochets here. So I'll single crochet 6 of them. So I'll go through the first stitch. There's 1, if I can get it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll go through this thing here. And 6. So now you have like a half circle. Now just go ahead and flip it like that. So you're going to work the other way now. And for row 3 we're doing a decrease followed by a single crochet followed by a decrease. So instead of working in the rounds, you know, like a spiral, we're just going back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so we're going to do a decrease. So pick up the front loop only of this stitch, and then the next stitch front loop only. Bring your brown band through the first 2 only. And then do your crochet. And then go through your next stitch and do a single crochet. And then pick up your first loop here and your first loop here, because this is a decrease here. Right, now go ahead and turn that again, and we're going to work the opposite way. So we're just going to single crochet in these 3 stitches here. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Go ahead and turn that again. And now we're going to do a decrease and then a single crochet. So pick up the front loop only in the first stitch and the front loop only of the next stitch. Grab your band and bring it through the first 2 loops only. Claim, slide under, and then go in through this stitch here and do a single crochet. Now turn. Now we're going to be doing 2 single crochets. So there's 1, and then go through this next one, and there's 2. Next we're just going to do a decrease. So we'll pick up the front loop of this one here. If I can get it, it's just small. And this one here. Grab your band, bring it through the first 2 loops only, and do your crochet. And then turn. And then we're going to do a single crochet here. Turn, single crochet here. Oops. Turn, and then stick your hook through there and bring it through all the loops on your hook and tie a slip knot. And then you can just use this and wrap it around the bottom part. And they're going to fold in like that, but that's okay. So we have our 2 braids. Okay, now we can go ahead and start on the body. So we're going to be starting off with skin tone color. So whatever color you want to use for her face is what we're going to start off with. And I'm using the Kieran Stores skin tone color. You need to order more. And then if you're using wrap bands or beads for your eyes, go ahead and just stick them onto a skin tone band. So like I'm using the 9mm pony beads, which are the regular size that you can find. So those just slide through the holes, nice and easy. If you're using wrap bands, just go ahead and make a cap band onto your hook and then slide it onto a wrap band in place of the beads. And then if you're using safety eyes, you can go ahead and add those on later on, while we're doing like the details on the face and things like that. So we've got the eyes. Let's make the ears too. So I'm just going to put 1 wrap band onto a skin tone band to make my ears. For her, I used 2 wrap bands. So it's up to you. I want mine to be a little bit smaller than this. So I'm going to take 1 skin tone band and wrap it around my hook once, and then I'll grab the other ends and wrap it around again. And then I'm going to take another band and just slide this on. Come on. Alright, so just like that. That is 1 ear. And then make another one. And then we'll also make her nose. So there's her second ear. Now for her nose, I'm going to use 2 skin tone wrap bands. I'm going to wrap it around my hook once, and I'm going to grab all those bands and wrap it around again. And I'm just going to take one skin tone band and pull that on. So my nose is going to be a little bit bigger than my ears just because I want it to be noticeable. Okay, so you can set that aside as well. So, as usual, we're going to start off our body with magic ring with 6 stitches in it, again in the skin tone color. So let's make our magic ring. Oh yeah, if my kids are like really loud, it's because they're up and awake and they've been so crazy all day long. So as soon as my husband got home from work, I was like, I gotta go film a tutorial, have fun. And then I locked myself in the bedroom. So there's 2. There's 3. There's 4. 5. And 6. Now have your C-clip or stitch marker handy and stick it in that band that's on your hook. So now what we want to do is increase around. So we're going to do increases in all of these stitches here so that we end up with 12 stitches. So an increase is basically just 2 single crochets in each stitch. So you're going to go through each stitch twice with single crochets so that it doubles our amount of stitches. So grab your first band and bring it through the stitch only and bring it up and do your crochet. Go through that first stitch again. Grab another skin tone band, bring it through the stitch only and up, and do your single crochet. So now we've just done an increase in the first stitch. We're going to continue that all the way around. So there's my first single crochet in my second stitch, and there's my second single crochet. Just keep going around. So there's 1 and 2. Go through here. Here's 1. Oh boy. And 2. Go through your 5th stitch. There's 1 and 2. Now I will go through my last stitch here, and there's 1 and 2. Oh boys, 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 boys. So now what you should have is a total of 12 stitches in your round. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then of course the one on my hook counts as a stitch, so that's 12. Go ahead and stick your C-clip in that loop on your hook. And here's where we're going to add our eyes in this third round here. We're going to be doing a single crochet followed by an increase. We're going to repeat that all the way around so that we end up with 18 stitches. So it'll be like a single crochet in this first stitch here, and then an increase in the second stitch. The third stitch will be a single crochet. The fourth stitch will be an increase. So we're just going to go all the way around till we get to our C-clip. And then we'll have 18 stitches. So also grab your eyes, and those are going to be going in stitches 3 and 9. So our first stitch here is a single. So there's 1. Our second stitch is an increase. So there's 1. I'm going to go back in. Whoops, that's a mother of pearl band. Okay, now I'm in my third stitch, and I'm going to grab an eyeball and bring it through. So I'll grab one end onto my hook, just slide it through. Just do it like you're doing a regular single crochet, but you've got a bead on there. My fourth stitch is going to be an increase. Fifth stitch is going to be a single. Sixth is an increase. Seven is a single. 8 is an increase. 9 is where we add our next eye. So grab your other eye, grab one end, bring it through and up, undo your crochet. 10 is going to be an increase. 11 is going to be a single, and then 12, which is our last one here, is going to be an increase. Uh-oh. There's 1, and there is 2. Alright, so now that we finished that round, we should have a total of 18 stitches in our round. So I have 1, 2, 3, and then my fourth stitch is really small because of the eye that we added. So that's 4. Make sure that when we do our next row around that you're crocheting into that small stitch and not accidentally forgetting it. Well, there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then your 13th one might be small, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then 18. So go ahead and place that on your hook and move your stitch marker to the band that's on your hook. And now we're going to start using skin tone and brown in this next round. So our pattern is going to be a single crochet followed by an increase, and we'll repeat this pattern all the way around so that we end up with 24 stitches. So here in this little graph thingy here, this messy graph that I have, I've got the numbers in the middle, and that counts for each stitch. So of course here we have 18 stitches in this right now, so there's 18 numbers right there. And then on the top is just the pattern. So like stitch 1 will be a single crochet, stitch 2 will be a single, stitch 3 will be an increase, and then it goes back to singles and then increase. So that's what the top ones stand for. Now on the bottom is what each stitch, the color each stitch is going to be. So for stitch 1 is going to be in skin tone. S stands for skin tone. Stitch 2 will also be in skin tone. So we're using skin tones all the way up to stitch 11. And then once we get to stitch 12, we'll just, they will all be in the hair color. So I just put B for brown. So yeah, let's do that, and I'll kind of go slower for you guys once we, just to show you where we're switching colors. So it's not like a difficult color change, like we're not having to switch back and forth, so that makes it easier. So our first one is going to be a single crochet in the skin tone. So there's 1. Second one will be a single crochet. Our third stitch will be an increase in the skin. There's 1 and 2. Our fourth stitch, which is going to be tiny, will be a single crochet. Our fifth stitch will be a single crochet. 6 will be an increase. So there's 1 and 2. 7 will be a single. 8 will be a single. 9 will be an increase in skin tone still. 10 will be a single. 11 be a single. Now in 12 we are doing an increase, and we're also switching to brown. So go into your 12th stitch, go ahead and grab your brown, and you're going to bring it through all the loops on your hook because we're switching to another color, so we need to do a slip stitch. So your brown's going to go through both loops, bring it up so that you just have the brown on your hook, and then you're just going to slide this one under this one to create a loose slip knot. So it's an increase in this stitch, so I'm going to have to go back in to that stitch and grab another brown and do a single crochet. Now I'm going to continue on to the next stitch, and this is all brown till we get to our stitch marker. So our next stitch is a single crochet, next is a single, and then the next one is an increase. 1 and 2. Our next is a single, single, and then our last one here will be an increase. Right, so now we should end up with 24 stitches around. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then since we did our color change here, you'll have one brown one that's kind of pointing down. So you're going to skip that one. You're not going to count that in your next row round, so don't crochet into that stitch that's pointing down. It's pretty small, but just make sure you're not adding that. So we have 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Go ahead and place your C-clip in that band on your hook. And we can continue on with our next row around, which is just a single crochet all the way around. So we're going to be single crocheting in all of these 24 stitches and ending up with 24 stitches. But we'll also be adding our ears. Now, this is the second time I've had to film this part because I totally forgot to add the ears the first time around. So hopefully I can remember them this time. So down here you'll see 13ST, which stands for there will be 13 in skin tone and then the rest will be in brown. So again, we're doing our color changes after 13 in skin tone. And we're going to be adding our ears in stitch 4 and 15. So since we're switching over to this skin tone, I'm sorry, my 3-year-old's trying to get in here. We're going to be grabbing the skin tone, and we have to do another color change, so we're still going to be doing like a slip stitch like we did with the brown. So our skin tone is going to go through all the loops on your hook, reclaim, and then do your slip knot, your loose one. So that was one. I'll go into my next one and do the rest of my skin tone. So it's 2, 3, oh, and here we go. 4, I'm adding my ear. I almost forgot again. So grab your ear. We're just going to be putting them in the same way we did the eyes. So grab one end, bring it through the stitch only, put the other end onto your hook, and do your crochet. So that's 4. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now we want to switch over to brown. So I'm going to go in through this last skin color stitch here, grab my brown and bring it through all the loops on my hook, reclaim and do my slip stitch. So that's 14. Now I'm skipping my weird stitch here. You can barely see it because it's really tiny, but it's there. So just skip that and go into the next brown. And we're going to be adding our ear here. So grab your other ear, pull it through, grab the other end, and do your crochet. I did it in skin tone, but it's okay. You won't be able to see it, the color, the off color, once we add the hair and all that. So now just continue on with brown. Okay, whoops. Okay, I'll put your C-clip in your band. Okay, so let's go to the next one. We're going to be doing single crochets all the way around again. And here's the color pattern. So we'll be doing 4 in brown, 8 in skin tone, and then the rest will be in brown. So here, since when we started the previous round, we did a color switch to the skin tone. So you'll have one off stitch here that's kind of pointing like diagonally this way instead of going the same way as the other ones. So you're going to skip that one there and go into the next skin tone. So we're going to be doing 4 in brown. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we need to do 8 in skin tone. So go in through your next stitch, and then we're going to be doing our color switch here. So band through all your loops, reclaim, do your slip knot. So that was 1. I'll go into my next stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we're going to be going into this next skin tone here and switching to brown. So the rest of our stitches will be in brown. So grab your brown and bring it through all the loops on your hook, reclaim, and do your slip stitch. Now since we switched over to brown in the previous round, you're going to have a weird off brown stitch here, so skip that one and go into the next one. And then just crochet around with your brown. Till you reach your C-clip. And the reason why this might look a little odd before we add our hair is because one side of her hair has more hair towards her eye, and on the other side it's kind of like the hair is tucked behind her ear. So that's why you've got more skin tone on one side than you do the brown, and one side with more brown than you do the skin tone. So yes, I know it looks funky, but it's on purpose. Okay, so go ahead and stick your C-clip or your stitch marker in, See, like that, like this side is the side where her hair is near her eye, and then this side is the one where it's kind of like tucked behind her ear. So, okay, so next we want to do, again, we're just doing single crochets around. This time we're going to be doing 6 in brown, and then 4 in skin tone, and then the rest will be in brown. Okay, so go through your brown and add 6 more. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you have your first skin tone band is a weird one, so you're going to skip that one and go into the next one. There's 5 and 6. Now we're going to go through and add our skin tone, so band through all the loops on my hook, reclaim, tie your slip knot. So that was 1. You need to add 3 more. There's 2, 3, and 4, and then the remainder of this will be in brown. So brown through all the loops on your hook, reclaim, and slip stitch, and then continue on. And then here, where you have this first brown, we're going to skip that one because that's an off stitch. And just to make sure you're not counting those color changes, those weird stitches in, make sure you're counting to make sure you still have 24 stitches after each round. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back and fix it for when we do our decreases, because it won't end up the right number. So here's my last one here. I'm going to stick my stitch marker in. Okay, now we are on row 8, and it is the same exact pattern. The single crochets all the way around, and then it's also going to be 6 brown, 4 in tan or skin tone, and then the rest in brown. So again, we'll do 4 in brown. So there's 6 in brown. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then I'm going to skip that skin tone right there, go into the next one, do my color change. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to skip that first brown one, go into the next one, and switch over to brown. And then just continue on with your brown. Or your purple, or your blue. Just remember, it doesn't have to be the exact same colors. So after this row, we will do one more row around, and then we'll add my very favorite part, the hair. It's not that bad, it's just really, really hard to explain. So you guys are gonna have to play hairdresser again. Unless, of course, you are a hairdresser in real life, then you're just working overtime. Okay, so that was the end of that one. Let's get the next one. So we're going to be still sticking with the single crochets around. In fact, we're going to be doing single crochets around for a while. But now we're doing 5 in brown, 4 in skin tone, and then the rest in brown. So let's do our 5 browns. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we want to switch over to skin tone. So go in that last brown there and do your switch over. Okay, and we're going to skip that first skin tone one and just go into the next one. There's 1, I mean that's 2, right? Yeah, 2. There's 3 and 4. Now we're going to go into that last skin tone right there and switch to brown. And we're going to skip that first brown right there and go into the next one and just crochet all the way around to our stitch marker. And then I'm going to tie her off for now while I work on her hair. So I'll go into the next stitch and I'm just going to grab a band and bring it through all the loops on my hook and then tie a slip knot just to hold on to it while I'm working on her detail. So right now it looks like a he, but later it will look like a she. Add her nose first. So grab your nose that you made. And right in between the eyes, you have your magic ring where we first started the design. So that will be right here. I'm just going to place my nose right on top of that. And then on each side, there's a hole that you can bring your loose ends in through. So just place your nose on. And then I'm just going to go up through that first side. Whoops, stuck on. And bring it down into the face. I'm going to keep it, oops, maybe not. I'm going to keep it on my hook because it's kind of short while I go over to the other side and grab the other end through. So like that. And then on the inside of the face, I'm going to just slide this band underneath this one and then go through some stitches that are in the inside of the face only. So like something like that. You can just pick somewhere close by your the band that's on your hook and then grab a skin tone band and bring it through all the loops and tie a slip knot. Okay, so that was the easy part. Now comes the very fun part. So again, if you did like the Elsa doll or like the Little Mermaid, you should know that this part of the hair is going to be pretty much like, you guys are gonna have to decide where you want to put and how you want your hair to go, because it's too hard to explain exactly what I am doing, because it's not going to end up the same for everybody. So everybody's will have a unique look to it. But you can maybe, like, if you Google an image of the Anna Tsum Tsum, you can kind of get an idea of the way you want your hair to be, which is what I do, but it doesn't always turn out, you know, the way, but I'm always like, oh, it looks good enough to me. So here, I wanted to add like a little bang that kind of sweeps in the front. So that's how I'm going to do with her. And so I started up here. So here's the center of Anna. So you go from her nose and you can go back. And then I went over about 2 stitches, and that's where I'm going to start placing my first line of single crochets. And then I'm just going to kind of go into a diagonal to come up to like maybe the left side of her nose. So it's going to stop about there. Like, sorry, my camera's not in focus. So it'll stop like maybe 1 stitch above the nose. So that's where I'll stop, and then I'll just continue doing like single crochet. Well, actually I'm going to be doing double crochets for the hair, just because it covers a bigger amount of space when you do the double crochets. So just follow along with me, and then if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, that's fine. It probably will even look better than mine, because I'm not sure I'm like very happy with the way this came out, but it's better than just leaving it like this. So like, it's very, I don't know, plain if you just leave it like this and add her little braids to that. So I feel like you have to at least add a little something. So, and then this right here is all one piece. So kind of like I did Elsa, I did 3 separate pieces for her hair. So I did this part in one piece, and then this part here is one piece, and then this part over here is a separate piece. So once you do like the side parts, they're a little bit easier. So let's start. So I'm going to go from the center of the face and go all the way up to the back. So this is the center. Then I'm going to probably go over like 1 hole here and 2 holes here. So I'm going to start about here. I'm going to start right where this row ends here. So I'm going to stick my hook in there. I'm going to grab a brown band, slide it through, reclaim, and then do a slip knot. So that is the beginning of my, this is going to be the beginning of my chain that I'm making right now. Now what we want to do is move up 1 space. So I'm kind of moving up in a diagonal. So stick your hook through the next stitch, up, bring it through, reclaim, and then go underneath, so like you're doing a single crochet. Now I'm going to move to the stitch right above it, bring it through and up, and then slide under. Now if your hair is not perfect, it's pretty forgiving, so it doesn't like, I don't know, I think it looks good however it ends up. Okay, so just depending on the shape that you want to give it, you could either go straight up or you go off to the diagonal, but I'm not going to start my diagonal yet. So I'm going to go in through here. So this is right above this stitch here. Well, it's over a little bit to the side. And then I'm just going to put a chain in. Okay, now I'm going to start, this is the part where I kind of want it to come in a little bit. So I'm going to go diagonal into the face. And then I'm going to go above that. Now I'm going to go over here. So I'm right above the nose right now, like right in the center of the nose. And then I'm going to go right here. So now I'm right above the left side of the nose. So just like that. Now I'm going to start doing crochets backwards. So I'm going to go up so I end up where I first started. And to do that, you just turn it, stick your hook through that first stitch there, so you have your loop that's on your hook. You're going to go through that first loop there, your first stitch, going the opposite way. Now we're going to be doing our double crochets. So you're going to grab one band, you're going to bring it through the stitch only, bring it up onto your hook so that you have 3 loops. Then you'll just grab another band and just pull it through all the loops on your hook. So now you should end up with 2 loops on your hook. Now I'm going to go into my second stitch, going the opposite way, grab my band, bring it through the stitch only, and up, and now I have 4 loops on my hook. So this is how it be. You'll have 4 loops on your hook for the rest of the way when you get to that point. So bring your second band through all of the loops. And we're just going to continue that, so just go all the way up to get to the very beginning of where you started your very first stitch. So through the loop, the stitch only, and then through all of the bands. Through the stitch, through all of the bands. Stitch and all. Stitch, oops, trying to do regular crochet, and all. Stitch and all. And then I'm even going to go through that very first one that I created. Stitch and all. So that's the end of that first. So we just did double crochets in that very first chain that we placed. Now I want to make it a little bit more, so I'm going to go again the opposite way. So now I'm going the opposite way of what I just did. So you have, I'm going to take this off my hook because I don't want them to be twisted. So just untwist them so that you can crochet this way now. So now you're just working your way down towards the face again. So go in through the first stitch right under the ones that are on your hook and do the same thing. Just do your double crochets all the way to the beginning of this one. So you just work back and forth until you've got the look that you want. And you can pretend this is fun to make it easier, go by faster. I don't mind doing the hair, like I said, it's just, I just worry that you guys won't be able to follow like my direction with it, because like I said, it's just so hard to explain, and people would be worried about getting the right number of stitches when it really doesn't matter, because I don't think you will end up with the right number of stitches even if I did write it out. But this way you can have your own personal touch to it. Okay, so now she's got this like flap of hair. It looks kind of like a mohawk. And you can kind of lay it down to see how it's starting to look. So now I'm going to go back. So now I'm turning. Now I'm going to go towards the back of the head now. So I just put these onto my hook. I just fixed the bands on my hook so they're not twisting. And I'm just going to do the very same thing. So double crochets to the end. So that was my last one. Thinking maybe I'll just continue this into one big piece instead of doing another separate piece. I think I'm just gonna make this the main piece here. So I'm gonna continue till I get down here, but I'm gonna have to decrease the amount of stitching because I don't want the hair to cover the eye. So you can skip stitches. Like I'd probably skip these first 2 stitches here when I do my next row because I don't want the hair to be covering the eye. So I'm gonna work the opposite way again. I'm gonna go and do my next stitch. And remember, if you want to add a stripe in there of different color, just remember to do that when you're closer to the end over here. This looks funny right now. Her toupee is blowing in the wind. Ah, I'm bald. So which ones was I gonna skip? I think this one. So I'll do one more here. So I'm going to skip these 2 stitches here. Actually, I could probably, I'm going to go into this one here. Just keep looking at it and do what you need to do to make it look good. Actually, I'm going to take this off. Sometimes what I like to do is go in through the hair and the face to kind of, I mean, you can tie it down at the end, but sometimes I like to tie it directly into the face so that it's a little bit more secure. And so it sits where I want it to sit. So I want this stitch to line up with the hairline. So I'm going to go in through this, the stitch in the hair and then a stitch in the face. And then just bring it through the face and the hair and just do my crochet. Okay. So just continue on. when I get up here, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go in through the hair and the face on the back part to hold that part down a little bit better. Just gonna check it. So I'll probably do this last one here. So I'm going to go through the face, the head, and then the hair. And then I'll just do my crochet. Okay, now I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go through the hair and the head so I can get it to be in the right spot. And then I'm just going to keep going down the hair. Don't worry, she looks like a boy right now, but once we add the lashes and her braids, she'll look like a girl. Hopefully. Go in through here. Oops. Could have probably just made her hair all one piece, but I like to, you know, make things more difficult for myself. And for you guys. Do I want her ear covered? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I'm gonna cover up her ear on this side, so that was like pointless to even put an ear there. So I'm just gonna go through stitching the face and the hair. And I think that's good. I'm not gonna keep going because then it'll be too long. So once you've reached the end of this piece of hair, then make sure you go through a piece in the face and bring your band through all the loops on your hook and tie that into a slip knot. I like her ear hidden. Oh no, I forgot to add her stripe.
Well, if you guys want a stripe, you can add it in, or you can just use the one that you have on her little braid. Sorry about that. I was too worried about showing you guys how to do this. Seriously, like, this part stresses me out. Like, because I worry. Okay, so we've got that done. Now let's go and do this side here. So like I said, this is the side that her, the hair is like towards her, more towards her eye. And this is the side where it comes kind of like behind her ear. So if you want, you can put the hair closer to her eyes if you'd like to. But I'm probably going to start over here and just make sure that the hair ends up behind the ear. So like I'll probably start right here. So I'm still starting in the face. And then I'm just going to curve it down and go behind the ear with my chain. So we got to do a chain to begin this piece. So start doing your single crochets and lay it how you would like it to go. This is why a picture comes in handy while you're doing this, because you can kind of get an idea of the shape that you want. So like I started in the face here, and then I kind of just went around, and now I'm just going to go behind her ear. Alright, so once you lay down your beginning, now you're just gonna double crochet up and then down and then up and then down until you've got the space covered. So now I'm gonna go up with my double crochets. So that was my beginning, and I don't want this gap, so if you see here, if you bring this piece of hair back, I'm still going to have this little like bald spot in there. So with my last, I did my last double crochet in that very beginning where I started. Now I'm just going to pick a spot in the first hair piece that I put down and just add another crochet in there. So you guys, you can do however you want. You can like I said, it's very forgiving and it will turn out nice enough. Okay, so there's that. Now I gotta work my way down. And wherever you guys want to, make sure you, in some spots that you're going through the head and the hair, to kind of give it some spots where it's securing it down. So if you want it to lay flat in a certain area, then that's a good place to secure it down. So like after I do this row here, I'll probably do a couple So like over here, there's not much brown there. So I'm going to stop right here. I'm not even going to go all the way down to the bottom. So it's important that you check how your hair is looking. So I'm going to stop there. And then when I go into my next stitch, to go the opposite way, I'm also going to go through the head to secure it right here, to hold it in place. Make sure that looks okay. All right. And you guys don't even have to cover the entire like head of hair because there's brown there anyway, so you don't have to put like all this hair there if you don't want to. I mean, you could even just like start with a chain that goes all the way across and then just single crochet back and forth till you reach the end of the hair. If you don't feel comfortable with doing you know, figuring out how to place the hair yourself, so there's other options available to you. So I think that's enough for this piece. So I'm just going to attach it to this very first hair piece that we created earlier and just tie that off. And if you have other pieces that kind of need to be held down better, you can go through the head and through the hair. Place it on your hook, keep that band on your hook, and then go through another spot near it and grab the other end, bring that through. Oops. Actually, I can just bring this tying off band down through. And then just tie this off on the inside. She looks like a boy. Alright, so if you guys are still working on her hair, if you want to pause the video before I continue on to the next part, go ahead and do that. And then when you're finished doing your hair, just meet me back here and we'll continue on with the rest of Elsa. So right now I'm going to go ahead and add my eyelashes. So whatever color you guys want to use, I'm going to use black for my lashes. And to add my lashes, I'm just going to pop out her eye, grab my black, and bring it through the bead. And then I'm going to start, with my hook, I'm going to pick up the outer part of her eye and then get the inner part of the lash, and then just pull it into a slip knot. But you want to make sure you're not pulling like, pulling like this, because you don't want your eyeball to be stretched out onto that band. So just hold down the eye while you're tightening this slip knot. And then just make sure it's towards the top and that it's nice and tight so it doesn't fall out. So there's one, and then you can snip it and then cut it so that it's shorter. And then go ahead and stick your other one in. And start from the outer, go into the inside, and bring it underneath to tie your slip knot. That way your lashes are nice and sticking out the right way. Okay, I'm going to snip it later because I don't have a pair of scissors with me. Let's go ahead and add our little braids. So like I said, you could put them so that they're going down like this, but I'm going to put mine going out like this. So I'm going to use this part here where it's bigger around. I'm going to go through one end and tie a slip knot onto there. So I'll grab another band and make a slip knot. Whoops. And then I'll go right next to that somewhere and tie another slip knot onto there. So that I have two tying off bands on there so that I can attach it. I'm just going to tie it into a knot on her hair. So I like the part that's kind of folding in to be the part that you see, rather than, well, I mean, either way would look fine. So I'm just going to do it like this. Make sure your striped braid is on your left side. So just find a spot where you want to put it, and then bring each tying off band through the head and the hair. So there's a lot that you have to go through, and chances are you're going to get caught up on something. So there's one. Two. And I'm just going to go on the inside. I have my two tying off bands here, and I'm just going to tie that into a knot. And then it will be nice and secure. Yeah, we can play around with it later. So I have that. Now I'll add the other one on. So again, I'm going to tie some little tying off bands here. So there's one. Two. And we're going to do the same exact thing. Pick a spot and tie it on. Well, you kind of want them to be even with one another. It's kind of like, I'm gonna tie this one a little lower. Oh, come on. Sorry. It's like lower. I'm just gonna fix this real quick.
Alright, so I finally got my braid on. Finally, I had to go off camera because I was having problems with it, and I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me struggle. So now, if you have like tying off bands in the front, just go ahead and tuck those in towards the inner part of the design so that it's hidden. And if you want to add cheeks, you can. You can either use like a blush to add color to her cheeks, or you could use wrap bands, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just using like the very pale pink from the Skin Pack, so it's almost the same color as her face, but I wanted kind of like a more pastel color for her cheeks this time. So just wrap it around your band 4 times, and then grab a skin tone band and pull it towards the middle. So of course you need 2. And then you're just going to put these on right underneath her eye, or wherever you guys want your cheeks to be. So you're just going to pull one end through and then pull the other end through. So just position it where you want it, and then go in through one side and grab one end. And then I'm going to keep that on my hook while I go over and grab the other end. So now I have both ends on my hook, like this. And then I'm just going to bring it through like a slip knot, and then find a spot in the face to tie it off with a skin tone band. So there's one, and then I'm going to do the other one. Whoops, that end did not stay on my hook. Okay, so there's her cheeks. She looks kind of like Dorothy or something, I don't know. Alright, so let's continue on with Anna. Hopefully you guys have made it up to this point without too much difficulty. Here it gets easier. We've passed the hardest part, which is the hair. And so now we can start with her shirt, which is going to be in the fuchsia color, or whatever color you guys have on hand. We need to take out this temporary tying off band if you put one in before, or just pick up where you left off. So I'm just going to take this out and then pick up where I left off and grab my stitch marker and place it in that band. And now let me get my instructions. Let's see, where are we? Did I lose one? Oh, okay, here we go. All right, so now what we need to do is we're still continuing with our single crochets around, but now we're doing our fuchsia. So for 3 rows, we're going to be just doing single crochets all in the fuchsia color. So from round 10, 11, and 12, it's just single crochets. But in row 10, we're going to be adding our arms. So grab your arms. Hopefully I can remember to do that this time. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so our arms are going to be going into stitches 4 and 10. So we're going to go through the first stitch, and we have to do our color change here. So grab your fuchsia and bring it through all the loops on your hook. Reclaim, and then do your slip stitch. And then continue around. So that was 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. And then in 4 is where I'm going to add my next arm. Now, just to let you guys know, depending on like what kind of bands you're using, sometimes your arms might need to be placed in a different stitch. So if it doesn't look like your arms are in the right spot, then go ahead and just like either move it up 1 stitch or move it back 1 stitch. It's up to you guys, because everybody's probably not going to end up exactly in the same spots, but just adjust it according to how it looks on your design. So, but I'm putting mine in stitch 4, so I'm going to grab one end. I'm going to add them on just like I added the eyes. So I'm going to put one end through stitch and pick up the other end, and then just do my crochet. So that was stitch 4. I'm going to continue on. So here's 5. Now when you get to this first skin tone band, you're going to be skipping that one. So go on to the next one. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So here I have this weird brown one where we switched from tan to brown. So I'm going to skip that first brown one and go into that next one. And this is where I'm going to add my second arm. So again, just pick up one end, bring it through your stitch, grab the other end, and do your crochet. And then just continue all the way around to your C-clip with single crochets. Hey there, Brady Bray. Hey there, Brady Bray. Hey there, Brady Bray.
Right there.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
That's Brayden. He's playing games on the computer right now. Alright, so I've reached my last one here. The hair gets in the way a little bit. Okay, so now we need to continue this all the way around 2 more times. So when you go into your next round, you're going to skip that first fuchsia band there that's kind of sticking out. So you're going to skip that one and then just continue all the way around to your C-clip and then do another round. So do 2 more rounds, pause the video, and then come back when you're finished with that, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I finished my additional 2 rounds, so this is what yours should be looking like right here. So our next rows around are going to be in black. Find that one. For 2 rows, we're just going to be doing single crochets around, all in black. So I'll do like a couple of stitches with you, and then I'll leave you to do the rest because it's easy peasy stuff right here. So we're going to do our color change. So go into your first stitch, grab your black, bring it through all the loops on the hook, reclaim, and do your slip stitch. And then just continue around with your black. Black is a very hard color to see on camera when you're doing like a tutorial. So I was gonna do a Chaco Cat tutorial, which I'm still going to do, but I need to fix them up a little bit. But I'm just worried about this. You being able to follow along with the black, because it's so hard to see what you're doing. Alright, so just continue around all the way to your C-clip, and then of course when you're going into your next row around, make sure that you're skipping that weird stitch in there. Your very first black stitch, you're going to skip that weird one. So pause the video and I'll meet you back here again. So I have my 2 rows in black now. We're going to be switching to white. And so we're on row 15 right now, and our legs are going to be going into stitches 2 and 8. So, sorry, I should just stop with that. Get your white out. We're still, this row is going to be single crochets all the way around, no decreasing yet. So grab your white, bring it through all the loops on your hook. Reclaim and do your slip stitch. So that's 1. And then I'll go into stitch 2, grab one of your legs, undo that little slip knot, make sure it stays on, grab one end through, pick up the other end, and do your crochet. So that's 2. Now I'm going to go all the way around to stitch number 8. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'll go into my 8th stitch, grab my other leg, undo that knot, and get it, bring it through and onto the hook and do your crochet. And now we're just going to continue around to the C-clip. We're almost done with her body, and then we just have to do the skirt, but the skirt's pretty easy, so it's just crocheting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Just to let you guys know, when I made her, I did not bling her skirt or add any kind of like embellishments or anything, even though like if you look at the Tsum Tsum, she does have those little flowers on her skirt, like I think they're like the tulips or something, but I had no idea how I was gonna add like tulips to a Loomigurumi design small enough to fit her skirt. So you guys could like put some beads or maybe some wrap bands or something at the edge of her skirt if you guys want to. I didn't because I'm too lazy to bling bands even though I should, but just feel free to add your own little touches to her skirt if you think it's too plain. When we get to that point. Alright, so I did my last stitch in this row. I'm gonna now start with doing some decreases. So for row 16, what we're going to be doing is a single crochet, another single crochet, and then a decrease so that we end up with 18 stitches. So we're going to skip this first white stitch here because that is from the slip stitch and go into the next stitch over. And we're going to do a single crochet. So there's one. And I'll go to my next stitch. And here's a second single crochet, and then now I'm going to pick up the front loop only of my first stitch here, and then the front loop only of the next stitch over. Grab my white band, bring it through the first 2 loops only, reclaim, and then slide under these 2. So like we did when we did the braids, we kind of did a few decreases there. We're doing the same thing here. We're just stitching 2 stitches together so it will close her up. So now I'm going back to my single crochets. So here's 1, and here's 2. Again, I'm going to do another decrease. So I'm going to pick up the front loop only of this stitch here and the front loop only of this stitch here. Grab a band and bring it through both. Put it on my hook and then do my crochet. Continuing on. There's a single, a single, and another decrease. Back again to the singles, so single, single, and a decrease. Single, single, decrease, single, wait, what happened? Single, and then you're going to end with a decrease. So after that you should have 18 stitches around, and then we're going to do row 17, which is going to be a single crochet followed by a decrease. So we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around so that we end up with 12 stitches, and then once we're finished with that round we're going to stuff her up and then close her up. So first we will start with a single crochet, and then we will do a decrease, and then we will do a single, and then a decrease, single, decrease, single. I'm going too fast, pause the video. Decrease, single, decrease, a single, and then our last one will be a decrease, and you should have 12 stitches now. Okay, So now go ahead and grab that polyfill or whatever you guys are going to use to stuff her up and just push her down on your hook a little bit so that you can put some stuff in there. Hey Brayden, can you pass me that stuffing? Please. It's right there. Right there. Thank you. Okay, and then you want to take a little bit at a time, and just work it in there, concentrating on mostly the face. You guys are probably sick of hearing me say this. Put more stuffing in the face and less in the butt. Otherwise you'll have it coming out of the gaps. I don't think that's what my voice sounds like, but... So yes, concentrate on the face. And put less in the butt because you have your decreases. But since it's white, you can put a little bit more because white won't show up as much. So just even out her shape. The color changes that we did didn't really distort her shape too much, but the hair that you added might have changed her shape face a little bit. So just make sure you're kind of using your finger to maneuver that stuffing and to get into like the little areas to puff her up so that she's nice and chubby. And then once you're done with that, we can go ahead and close up her bum. Hold on, I have to fix my leg. Okay. So what we want to do to close her up is do decreases all the way around this area. So we want to do a total of 6 decreases so that we end up with 6 stitches. So we're just gonna decrease all the way around. Try not to pick up that stuffing. So here's one. Whoops. This will be 2. I feel like I've been filming this for forever. Because I keep messing up and having to start over. There's 3. Here's 4. 5. And one more. And 6. So you still have this little teeny gap there, so go ahead and grab one more white and use your, you have that band on your hook right now. Grab another band and bring it through that band on your, that tying off band and make that into a slip knot. And we're just going to take this around this open area here. So I'm going to go in through the 6 stitches that we just made, just the top loop only, and I'm going to weave this through. So I'll bring that tying off band through the top loop only of each stitch around. And don't fret if you can't find all 6. So I'm going to do like 5 and it will be fine. Okay, so once it's pretty much closed up, you just push your thumb down on her butt and take this tying off band and pull it a little bit tight so it kind of just closes that up all the way. And then go in through a stitch right next to your tying off band, bring it through, and then just tie it into a knot. And push your thumb down while you're doing that so you're not pulling on the bands, the stitches.
Okay, now you just want to tuck that in. I'm going to just try to tuck it into the white part because I don't want it to show through the black. Okay, so there she is. Now we just have to add her skirt. I like the way her hair came out better on this one, even though it's not the right color. Yeah, I do. I just don't like these blue eyes either. I don't know, I like her hair better on this one, even though this one, the right color. Alright, so let's do her skirt, and you're going to need a dark blue, or, well, any kind of blue you want, but hers is like a darker blue color, so I'm going to use these Sweets bands. And again, feel free to bling these up if you want to. So let's see. What we're going to do here is put single crochets along this area here. So we're going to be using the second portion of the black to place single crochets. So it's going to go from the top of one foot all the way around to the top of the other foot. So go ahead and place your hook. I'm going to start it in the center of the black, because if I start it right here where the white starts, then the skirt's going to be too far back. So I'm going to start right in the middle of the black. And then grab a blue band, pull it through that stitch, put both ends on your hook, and then do a slip knot. And then you're just going to crochet up. So keeping a straight line. So pull it through the stitch only, up onto your hook, and then slide under. So here we're just creating our chain. Try not to pull the stitches too much when you're going in them. Yeah, even though I said I was gonna put it in the center of the block, it still ended up on the last part of the block, right where the white starts. Oh well, good going, Christina. Good going. Okay, so once you get to the very top of the foot, which is right here, I'm going to put one more in. Now you want to turn it around. Now we're going to work the opposite way towards the very first towards the very first stitch that we put in for her dress. So my first stitch here, I've got my band that's on my hook, and then I'm going to go into the stitch right underneath it. And for every end stitch, we are going to just be doing an increase, just on every end stitch. An increase. Did I say increase or decrease? Anyways, increases on every end stitch. So for here, I'm going to do 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to go back into that same stitch and do another single crochet. Now I'm just going to single crochet all the way to the beginning of her skirt. And once you reach the beginning, make sure you put an increase at the very first stitch that you put in when you started this chain. And I'll do this whole one with you, and then I'll let you guys go for a little bit to do the rest on your own, and then I'll show you what to do for the little frills. So the length of the skirt is going to be up to you. I can't remember how many I did on mine. I think I did, let's see, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. I don't know. I can't remember. Alright, so here's, well, I think I might wait till I get down to that slip knot, because I want it to be even. So here's, even though it's technically not a stitch, it's like a slip knot, I'm going to go in through that and put an increase in there. If I can get back in there. Get in there. Okay. So do your increase. Now I'm going to turn, and again I'm going to do another increase in this very first stitch. So now I'm working all the way back the opposite way. So I'll go into this stitch here, do my increase, and then with single crochets, I'm going to work my way all the way to the end here, put an increase here, and then I'm going to turn it and go all the way back here. So make sure you put in your increases on the ends. So I probably will do those 2 more times. So I'm going to go up this way here and then back. So once I get back here, then I'll start doing like the little frills. So if you guys want to pause the video, add as many chains as you want, just because the length is going to be up to you guys. You could make it like 10 long, it's up to you. So just once you get to your desired length of skirt, pause the video and then restart once you're finished with the length that you like, and then we'll finish it up. Alright, so here's mine. Now I'm going to start on the frill, so now I'm going to be working this way. I'm going to go into this stitch here. Here I'm adding an increase still. So there's 1, and there's 2. Now I'm going to go, let's see, 1, 2, let's see. Now I'm going to do 1 single crochet here, another single crochet here. So I'm going to add chain 2 to this band here. So 1 and 2. I'm just going to go on to my next band here. Just
do a single crochet. So you have to bring it through all these bands here. So that was 1. Here's 2. I'm going to go through my next band and add my chain 2 to this one. So 1 and 2. Now I'll go in through my next stitch, just do a single crochet, making sure I'm going through all these loops here, and another single crochet, and then my next crochet is going to be the one with the chains on it. So single crochet and then chain 2. 1 and 2. I'll go through my next one. Single crochet. And then another single crochet. Another single. One, 2, and then another one. And then I'll add my chain. So there's 1, 2, go down to the next band. 1, go to the next one. 2 for the next one. There's 3 and chain 1 and 2, and then go down here. Oh, let's see, there's a big gap there. I should have. I'm not doing this in any specific pattern really. So there's 1. Just whenever you want to add these little ruffles, you just chain 2 and then move on. But I'm done with my ruffles now, so I'm going to come to the end here and do an increase at the very end. Oh, yeah. Then I'll go through stitch over here and tie it off with a slip knot. So bring it through all the loops on your hook and slip knot. And then you can hide this. You're gonna have to kind of weave it into this back of the inside of the skirt. So I'm just going to go through some stitches on the inside and just kind of bring that tying off band through. Just to hide it so it's not sticking out. Okay, so there's your Anna. She's all finished. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully you didn't find it too difficult. I know I always second guess myself when I do these tutorials just because I want everybody to be able to eventually make this, you know, so I just second guess myself when I'm doing the tutorials, you know, just worrying about not explaining it right and stuff, and you know, because sometimes these things are hard to explain, but I hope I did okay so that you guys were able to make her so you could complete your collection. And let's see, I've got my next 2 tutorials already planned out. So my next tutorial is going to actually be the kawaii alpaca that I sumified. I made him into, well, it's a her, made her into a tsum tsum. So she's just like a little fluff ball. So here she is here. Lots of patience with this one, just because you have to add all the wrap bands to every single band that you do.
crochet in, but I think she's really cute, and I think it'd be cute if you like made like a whole like bunch of these. I don't know. I think it'd be funny just to have a bunch of like little fluff balls all over the place. But this will be my next tutorial after this Anna video. And then my next Tsum Tsum is going to be this one. Ta-da! This one is awesome. This is Maleficent. I have a hard time with her name sometimes. But this is her. Her face is a little dark, but I really love the limited edition bands with Loomigurumi because they're just so clean looking and they don't leave gaps at all because they're thicker. So it came out looking really nice in the face and just wherever I used the LE bands. So, but this was actually designed by Char Morales on Instagram. But I'll give you all her information and all that when I actually do this tutorial, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys her because I think she's like my favorite one. So I'll also be having a tutorial for her after the alpaca. So look forward to her as well. And then of course there will be lots more so after that, but I was just happy because I got my next, my schedule figured out at least. So thank you guys so much for everything, for subscribing, for following me, for sharing all your stuff on Instagram and Facebook. And another thing that I was doing is kind of like a giveaway slash like if you win the giveaway or contest, then you get a prize, and then I do a tutorial for you for that design that wins on my channel. So if you want to check that out, you can see that on my Instagram page for like all the rules and details. But I think I might make a little video going over that a little bit more in detail because I'm thinking of maybe doing this for Facebook as well, like just combining both because some people don't have Instagrams and I kind of want it to be fair. So I'll give you guys all the info in a separate video later on this week. You have until October 1st, so I'll make a video giving you all the details and all the rules. So if you guys are interested in doing that, you can check out the rules on Instagram and then watch the video afterwards for, you know, any more information on it. But thank you guys so much again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. See you guys later. Bye.